Hello everyone, welcome to our first session. I'm so excited to guide you through this journey. Today, we're exploring a transformation in software creation that is changing the industry, the era of vibe coding. So, what exactly is vibe coding? It's a shift from worrying about rigid syntax and semicolons to building with pure intent. You provide the logic and the vibe, the overall feel and purpose, and let the AI handle the heavy lifting of the code. Look at this illustration. It perfectly captures the essence, a creator communicating a vision to an AI interface that instantly manifests a functional app. The barrier between a great idea and a working product is finally disappearing. This is why we call it the ultimate equalizer. For a long time, technical complexity was a gatekeeper. Now, non-technical entrepreneurs, artists, and career switchers can build software as easily as they can explain an idea. The mantra is simple. Imagine it, describe it, and watch the AI build it. Throughout this course, we'll see how to master this loop to turn your creative vibes into reality. Before we move on, I want to hear your thoughts on this shift. Building on what we just covered regarding the vibe loop, let's look at where this all started. The term vibe coding actually has its roots in a very specific moment in AI history. It was coined by Andrej Karpathy, a true pioneer in the field, in early 2025. He realized that the barrier between human intent and computer execution was finally dissolving. He famously stated that the hottest new programming language is English. This is a massive shift. It means that your ability to describe a problem clearly is now more valuable than knowing where to put a semicolon. Look at this visualization showing language morphing into code. We are moving beyond the low-code era, which still required dragging and dropping logic blocks, and entering the era of true natural language development. As the natively.dev guide for the 2025 to 2026 shift highlights, this viral rise isn't just hype, it's a technical evolution. We aren't just writing instructions anymore, we are communicating a vibe that the AI then manifests into a functional product. Building on what we just covered regarding the technical evolution of software, let's put these concepts into perspective by comparing the three major paradigms of creation. In this table, we can see the clear divide between traditional coding, no-code, and our new frontier, vibe coding. Each has its own strengths and limitations. Traditional coding offers the most control, but as we know, the barrier is high and the speed can be slow because you're manually managing every line of logic. No-code improved the speed with drag and drop, but it often traps you within the limits of pre-built templates. Vibe coding is the game changer here. It brings the barrier to near zero while maintaining high flexibility. Because you are communicating intent to an AI, your iteration speed becomes ultra-fast. I've left a specific note for you here. Remember that vibe coding isn't just a different set of tools. It's a fundamental shift in mindset from how do I write this to what do I want to achieve. It's about the outcome, not just the syntax. Next, let's look at how this shift creates a practical loop that transforms a simple prompt into a finished product. Building on the shift we just covered on page 3, let's get our hands dirty with the actual loop. You're looking at a classic prompt-to-product interface. On the left, you provide it, and on the right, you see the live execution. Go one of those preset vibes. Try neon cyberpunk or minimalist. Watch the live app preview carefully. Notice how the AI isn't just changing a background color, it's reconfiguring the entire CSS and layout to match the aesthetic. As you switch between vibes, think about point 2, how the AI interprets style versus function. The function, a bank app or a dashboard, stays the same, but the vibe completely changes how a user experiences that function. Now try to refine it. If neon feels too loud, switch to professional sass. This is the iterative feedback loop in action. In vibe coding, your role is to act as the creative director, guiding the AI through these transformations until the product feels just right. Take a moment to explore all the vibes. See if you can spot which elements are staying consistent and which are being transformed. Once you feel comfortable with how this feels, we'll move on to see how much you've picked up in our first knowledge check. Building on that mindset shift we just covered, let's look at the actual landscape of tools making this possible. This is the vibe coding ecosystem, a map of the digital workspace where your ideas become reality. First, we have the power editors. Think of these as the evolution of traditional coding environments. Cursor is currently the gold standard. It's not just an editor, it's an IDE that lives and breathes AI, allowing you to manipulate entire folders of code just by describing what you want. Next are the web builders like V0 by Vercel, Lovable, and Bolt.new. These are specialized for the web. They excel at that instant building we talked about on page 4, where you prompt a UI and see it rendered immediately in the browser. Then we have the agents, Replit Agent and Claude Engineer. Unlike editors where you drive the car, agents are more like having a co-pilot who can take the wheel, navigate the file system, and fix bugs autonomously while you supervise the vibe. As you can see in this categorization, the ecosystem is moving toward higher levels of abstraction. We aren't just writing lines, we are orchestrating these tools. Next, we'll dive deep into our dynamic duo, Cursor and Claude, to see how they work together in a real workflow. Building on the ecosystem we just explored, let's zoom in on the powerhouse pairing, Cursor and Claude. In the world of vibe coding, these two are practically inseparable. First, we have Claude 3.5 Sonnet. It's currently the best brain for coding vibes because it has an incredible grasp of context and nuance. It doesn't just suggest syntax, it follows the intent of your project. Cursor then takes that brain and powers Composer mode. This is where you can build entire multi-file features with a single prompt. It's a massive jump from traditional one file at a time editing. Let's watch a simulation of this multi-file coordination in action. As you saw, the tool handles the heavy lifting across files. But remember, vibe coding isn't about being lazy. It's about shifting your cognitive energy from how do I write this loop to what should this feature actually do. You are the architect, not just the mason. Building on what we just covered regarding the architect mindset, let's look at the tools that take vibe coding to its most frictionless extreme, one-click apps. If Cursor is your professional workshop, these are your high-speed prototyping labs that live entirely in the browser. First, we have Bolt.new. The magic here is that it doesn't just write code, it creates the entire full-stack environment for you. You prompt a full application, and it installs the packages, sets up the server, and gives you a live preview right there in the tab. No terminal, no Git, no local setup required. Similarly, tools like Lovable and V0.dev focus on that prompt-to-product loop. VO is particularly incredible for UI. You describe a beautiful dashboard, and it generates the clean React code for it instantly. Lovable acts like an autonomous engineer, iterating on your prototype as you talk to it. But here is the crucial question. When do we use these versus a heavy hitter like Cursor? It's all about the balance between speed and complexity. Use these one-click tools when you need to validate a vibe or build a landing page in 30 minutes. Move to Cursor when your project needs a custom database architecture or complex local integrations. Now that we've discussed picking the right tools, let's look at the actual workflow. This is how you transform from a career switcher into a builder using the vibe coding method. Step 1 is the brain dump. You don't need to know syntax. Just describe your vision in plain English. Describe the logic, the buttons, and what happens when you click them. Next is the vibe check. Once the AI gives you a draft, you review it. Does it feel right? Does the layout match your mental model? You are the creative director here. The third step is debugging via dialogue. This is the most empowering part. If something isn't working, don't try to hunt for a missing semicolon. Just tell the AI what's wrong and let it handle the repair. Finally, we have deployment. We use tools like Replit or Vercel to take that code and put it on a real URL so anyone can use your app immediately. I want to emphasize this point at the bottom. Your goal isn't to become a professional debugger. Your goal is to be a creator who uses AI as your lead engineer. Now that we've shifted our mindset from debugging to creating, as we just covered on the previous page, it's time to put those principles into practice. We are going to build your very first Vibe app, Personal Task AI Manager. Our goal is to use a tool like Bolt or Cursor to create a functional app where tasks don't just sit on a list. They actually change the app's vibe and colors based on their urgency. To bring this project to life, you'll need to step into a specific role. You can choose to be the *** UI designer ***, focusing on the aesthetics and urgency-based color shifts, the *** logic architect ***, ensuring the add and delete functions work flawlessly, or the *** prompt engineer ***, who will orchestrate the AI to generate the core code. Pick the role that excites you most, and let's start building. As we reach the conclusion of our session, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. We've explored the tools and the workflows, but the real shift is in why all of this matters for your future. The first major shift is in your identity. We are moving from being just developers to becoming product architects. In this new era, your value isn't measured by how many lines of code you can type, but by your ability to design systems and understand how a product serves its users. This is possible because speed has become the new currency. When we can build in hours instead of months, the cost of failure drops to nearly zero, allowing us to experiment, pivot, and innovate at a pace that was unthinkable just a few years ago. And for those of you joining us from other industries, this is your greatest advantage. Your domain expertise, your deep understanding of specific fields is now far more critical than knowing the nuances of programming syntax. The AI handles the how, but you define the what and the why. I'll leave you with this final thought. The best code is the code you didn't have to write manually. It's the solution that exists because you had the vision to prompt it into being. Thank you all for your incredible energy today. I can't wait to see the Vibe apps you create.